Fire! Hello everyone and welcome back to my Heroes and General gameplay. You might notice that my tank site still not showing the border, but I haven't received any replies from the developer team on that one. As you saw earlier, I managed to fire a cannon shell to the left side of a paratrooper plane. This plane should burn with damage like that, honestly. But to be honest, that was about the only time I was successful in doing so. Did you guys know though? This was also done back in the World War II by a tank commander, Otto Carius, who convinced his tank gunner, Kramer, who was upset with the plane kept flying past the tank. He only needed 2 attempts to hit one of the planes as it flew in the straight firing line of the cannon, while I need 3 attempts and didn't succeed. It was hit in the wing and of course it crashed behind the tank. And with that story, this time I would like to tell you about this legendary German tank commander, Otto Carius. This man has published a book called Tigers in the Mud to show the other side of the war that reveals some details on how the German army in the past were also like the Allied soldiers. They are also human beings who sometimes doubt what they are doing, and more than that, they also doubt their leader's motive and moral values. His book is showing how the camaraderie in him to his men who spend their time together through hardship as brothers. Now, why is Otto Carius a legend, you ask? Well, he may not be the only one, but this man survived by destroying more than 150 tanks and also equal number of anti-tank guns during World War II, and one of the surviving soldiers who decided to become an apotheker and open up his own business, calling the shop unsurprisingly as the Tiger Apotheke. His story was one of those that people see as an insignificant man in the beginning of his life. He was actually rejected twice when he tries to enroll in the army. The notice came back to him saying that he is not fit for service at present, underweight. Although disappointed and unsuitable to be a soldier, he did not give up and he tried for a 3rd time, and he got accepted to the 104th Battalion before he volunteered his way to the Panzer group all the way up. In his book, he explicitly begins the chapter with how everyone else around him was mocking his stature, saying things like what they want to do with that little run, and the others were saying that's what I'd like to know too. A little bit sarcastic, but it's so much so like the how Captain America movie begins. He was very determined, and I can tell he's an intellectual person who really cares for his teammates. There was one time when he was offered to take credit for propaganda material that tells exaggeration and lies, but he refused to do so and handing it over to his superior to sign it. I only read half the book at this stage, but the action, man, it never stopped. So he basically started with a Czechoslovakian Panzer 38T, and he started as the loader in the tank, and he felt practically invincible until they're proven wrong when the T-34 actually surprised their advance, and he was wounded, but he came back again and continued on with the Tiger. This is like watching an action movie mixed with war strategies and philosophies, especially at the battle at Nava. There's a chapter about this, a few actually. This battlefield is ruthless because the terrain is dominated by the marshy land and waters and forests, so much so that Stukas or Junkers plane, which is a bomber, cannot get their bombs exploding above the ground. It would just fall off the sky and stuck inside the mud before making a huge crater inside it. So obviously plane is not a good strategy, but still Soviets still do this all the time. He was always talking about how the Soviet kept on barraging the Germans with artilleries and machine guns in front line, as though they got bullets for free. It's like endless shooting and endless barraging. It reminds me on how the Soviet soldiers in Heroes and Generals has got like the most ammunition in their submachine gun. Remember PPD? Man, that gun should be banned. Interestingly enough though, PPD-40 is actually a direct copy of a German gun from World War I, MP-28. There was a story where he met a Graf, which means count in German, who would prefer people to call him as Graf instead of his army title. He was a genius, man, he was awarded with the highest medal, but he didn't care about it. A bit like a sociopath nowadays. And also, he led Otto Carius forward to some of his victories in the battle for Naval. And reading on how they interacted, it shows how they both actually regard each other's tactical skill and experience with great respect. Otto was also well known by the Soviet as the guy who destroyed most T-34s with his Tigers. He did mention how he did it, like how the T-34 has got less crew than Tiger, therefore they have less people to observe around them. And this is why the Soviet calling him out in the open at the front line with a loudspeakers among other things, and they calling him as the Bloodhound. And even though one of his comrades shoot the loudspeakers to pieces, the Soviet, or the Ivan as he called it, still show unflinching respect to him by keep calling the Bloodhound out without the loudspeaker. There's actually a Japanese comic depicting this. It's funny how after Otto was wounded in Juneburg, the Russians announced over their radio that he was killed, and the Soviet officer who found the lost map board with his name as a proof was actually promoted and decorated. This battle at Nava was ended with German losing 32 tanks, but the Soviet lost a massive 100 tanks. He gave more insight that I can't really share so much in this video because of the limited time, and sadly he had only recently just passed away on the 24th of January this year, 2015, and I really wish I could have seen him just once. But anyway, that's all for the War Legend story. I share this story because I like it and it is inspiring for me. I don't think this video has done any justice to Otto Carius' great life experience. So if you like reading, please read the book Tiger in the Mud for more stories on Otto Carius. Cheers!